Ensuring that the entire workforce in an educational setting understands autism. All the members of staff, no matter if they're midday supervisors, teachers, teaching assistants, or even the caretaker.
Because it's no use just having teachers that are trained in autism, or just TAs, or just a select numbers of staff. You need to be able to rely on all the members within an educational workforce to be trained and educated about autism, which is actually a lot easier than you think.
Young people need support at all times of the day, no matter if it's in the classroom or outside on the playground. Having all your staff trained up can really be beneficial to the children, so when they come in from after lunch, that they've had a successful lunch and people know how to properly deal with them to prevent any further incidents happening in the afternoon.
For me, when I was in school, it was probably the teaching assistants that knew most about autism. Aside from them, teaching staff didn't really have any knowledge of it. So if there wasn't a TA with you in the classroom, or there wasn't, and you weren't with anyone from the learning support department, then it was kind of just luck if you had a teacher that understood or was aware of any difficulties you might face. No, the teaching assistants were really good and they were well trained and they had a lot of knowledge on autism, but when it came to, say, the senior leadership team, like the head teachers or the assistant heads, it was very much a matter of stereotypes when it came to autism and the struggles that I might face, and it was dealing with attitudes like that they didn't necessarily want me in the school because I was a problem, or that I would distract other students, or that the problems I had might influence others' learnings. It was a very negative environment.
So I have seen firsthand about what support can do for a child to make sure they are properly trained in the field. If all the staff are trained, TAs can step into other roles where support is needed if someone's off sick. So they have all the teaching methods about how to best support that child in order for them to progress in their education.
Well, usually it wouldn't be a very good day, so it would immediately stress me out or make me not want to be in school, because the plan that I thought was going to happen for the day wasn't. So I would usually get given a different teaching assistant, but it wasn't necessarily one that was A, aware of my specific needs, or B, had education on autism. So it was very much, there was a bit of a barrier between the two of us working together, and it created problems like I wouldn't do as well in lessons, or I wouldn't attend lessons at all. I would really struggle to socialise with my friends in the classroom because I didn't feel as comfortable and I felt distracted, and it would just affect me a lot more than perhaps people realised. Yeah, definitely, because I would have been able to be myself and be more relaxed, and in order to, say, learn or engage in the lesson, I needed to be as relaxed and as stress-free as possible, which is really difficult. But knowing that they would know how to, for example, like calm me down or distract me or engage me in my work that I was doing would have made a big difference.
Making sure support is tailored to our needs and our progress is measured. Each autistic person is different, and you need to find out what support suits them best. Have regular meetings with the young person to find out what support they want and what best suits them, to get a feel of how they learn best. Understand their long-term and current goals and break them down into smaller manageable steps and present them in a way that they best understand them, maybe with pictures or a simple target chart.
be aware that something that might seem really small to you is actually a really big deal to that young person. For example, it might be that they actually attend a lesson, so they managed to go into the classroom, and for them that is a major thing and something that they should be really proud of, and that the staff should be aware of how hard it's been for them. So it might not be a stereotypical achievement like getting an A star or something in a test, but actually it's just as big a deal to them. Just that, like I said, something as what might seem really simple, like going to school every day, for an autistic person, it can be really, really difficult. So the stress of thinking about the whole day ahead, and maybe things changing, or the stress of school, or the socialising, and being in the classroom, and just the whole school environment, it can be really, really difficult and challenging for autistic young people to actually just find the courage to go to school every day. Yeah, so giving young people realistic goals and having realistic expectations. So, for example, if that young person isn't managing to go in the classroom, then don't set them a goal, for example, to complete all the work in the classroom and all the tasks, and then complete all the homework that's been set, because that's not something that is achievable or a fair demand to place on that young person. It might be that the goal you set that individual person is different to the rest of the class, but it doesn't necessarily matter as long as they're still achieving something that they can feel proud of and are making progress. Then what's the issue?
Particularly when being told I've got to do group activities, it was something that I personally really struggled with the amount of noise that was in the classroom space, with all the different groups talking, and being forced to work with other people that I didn't necessarily get on with, and I struggled to share my ideas, so I was being told that I wasn't putting enough effort in because it was just a situation that was too stressful for me.
Yeah, I think it's really important and valuable to that young person that they aren't just, like you said, marked or graded on academic areas, so progress in subjects like maths, English, science, and any things like that. I think that being told that you're doing well in areas that you find really difficult, so for example for me it was talking to other people in class. I wouldn't really engage in any discussions, so that was one of the targets I had. So to know that I was progressing with that and doing well with it actually gave me a bit of confidence that I was maybe okay at it, and not as bad as I thought.
Having a member of staff which turned out to be the Senko was really useful for me, because they knew what I was mainly struggling with, that not all the members of staff needed to know, and she knew how to best support me, and just having that person there helped me discuss how I want to improve and support me to achieve my goals. This means to me that we create a curriculum that works for the young person.
If you can't learn the way they teach the way they learn. That not one size fits all. So everyone learns in different ways, and what everyone needs will be different and unique to that person, which is the case for all autistic people, because we're all different. Just because we have the same diagnosis doesn't mean that what works for us will be the same thing.
Teachers need to take everything into account, because for me, even if I wanted to attend the class and knew what was happening in the class, if the classroom was too bright or too noisy and it was causing meltdowns and shutdowns, then there's no progress that's going to be made, and it does need to be adapted to support that young person.
So for me it was really important that adaptations were made, and the right ones, in order to try and get back into mainstream school. It was something that I was absolutely terrified of, but I knew that with the right support and changes that it could work, and this meant things such as having a teaching assistant in my lessons help scribe what the teacher was saying, having the lessons printed off beforehand, having adjustments in exams, so things like extra time, being in my own room so that things didn't distract me, like noises or lights or anything like that. And with all these in place, it was then possible for me to actually achieve that and go back into lessons and actually learn. It probably would have made a big difference to me, especially before I had to leave school, because this was something that they didn't pick up on. So it definitely contributed to me not feeling able to open up to anyone, because it was almost like they just weren't aware of how anyone was feeling, and particularly I was like really unhappy and distressed, but they still didn't pick up on that. So it doesn't make it easy to then approach a topic, because it's not as though it's something that they want to talk about. Once I got my diagnosis and they had the right support and adaptations in place, it was a lot better, because it meant I had a safe space to go to if I was feeling overwhelmed. So it meant that I didn't reach crisis point and just have a complete meltdown, and it meant that I had someone that I could talk to try and reassure me, and that made a huge difference. And it was actually just really simple things that helped and made the biggest difference. Learn and educate people about autism, and that the difference that can make to a young autistic person's life is greater than you could ever think.
It seems to me that non-autistic people have more of a right to learn than autistic people, and we are all entitled to an education, but that may mean that you have to spend the time to find what supports them best, and how having the right support in place can massively affect on that child's progress, no matter if it's academic or anything else. You have to help us to achieve our potential, and success is different for everybody, and we are all entitled to learn and achieve